Hi guys, and welcome to another exciting floristry tutorial. If you guys don't know me already, I'm Jem and I'm your new go-to florist on YouTube. Whether you're a beginner, whether you just want to know how I do things, or anything you need to know in the floristry industry, I am basically a walking floristry dictionary. So anyway, in today's tutorial, we're going to learn 4 different ways of how to wrap a bouquet. So there are many different ways of how to wrap a bouquet, but there's no right or wrong techniques to do. Like, everybody can do it differently. There are so many ways, but I'm going to show you the ways that I do them regularly. So the first one that I'm going to do is the technique that I regularly do on a daily basis. So this is how I wrap my everyday bouquets. So we're going to start off with that one, then I'll show you more fancy ways of wrapping the bouquets as well. Some of the wrapping is suitable for bigger bouquets and some of them is suitable for smaller bouquets or medium bouquets, just any size. So it's really good to gain the knowledge of different ways of wrapping to make sure that they fit the size nicely of the bouquets that you're making. So anyway, let's get into the first one. I'm going to put you on a bird's eye view so that you can see everything clearly, and then any other questions just ask in the comment box down below and I will get back to you. So anyway, let's get on with it. So what you're going to need for your wrapping is, you're going to obviously need your bouquet. I'm a modern style florist, so this is the one that I'm going to be using today to show you all the wrapping techniques on. And then you're going to need some normal or ribbon scissors, you're going to need some sellotape, and you're going to need your cellophane as well. So the first technique that I'm going to show you is my go-to technique, which I use on the majority of my bouquets, like every single day. So there's not actually a particular name of the different types of cellophane, so you're going to have to bear with me, and I'm just going to call it like type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. And doing this video, I've actually realised that I think we should actually give them a name. So any names of the techniques that I use, let's make names up for them. Okay, so I'm going to unroll my cellophane now. I usually use coloured frosted cellophane, so it's plain, but I found a new love for like this patterned frosted cellophane. That was a mouthful. So anyway, I basically just cut 3 rectangles out of this. So 1, 2, and then when you're doing this as well, please make sure that they're a similar size to what I'm cutting it. So let me measure it so I can show you, and just make sure that when you're cutting it up, make sure you get the lines as neat as possible, but it's not entirely necessary, as long as you do get it as neat as possible. Okay, so the length of this is 16.5 inches or 42 centimetres, okay? So that's the perfect size of the rectangles that you need to be cutting out, and then you can just cut them on top of each other so you don't have to keep measuring them. So I use 3. Okay, then I'm just going to put that away so it's not in the way. Then what I'm going to do is, we need to fold this like on top of each other like that, and I'll just move this out of the way so you can fully see the angles that I'm doing. Okay, so we're just going to fold this like sort of at an angle here so that we can see that there's 4 peaks. There's 1 here, 1 there, 1 there and 1 there. Okay, so it doesn't have to be fully like this, just put it at an angle like that, so there's 4 small peaks on top of each other. Then once we know that, and we're happy with where our cellophane is being placed, we then do a nice deep crease on the cellophane like this, just so that it sort of just stays better. And then we're going to cut a rectangle, square or a semicircle out of the centre. Then we're going to get our bouquet here, and at the binding point. Now the binding point of our bouquet is where we've basically wrapped our stems. So I'm going to place, so I've used raffia in this one, so I'm going to simply place where the raffia is at the top of the rectangle that I've cut out here. So I'm just going to place it here, okay? Then I'm just going to simply get the 2 sides and pull them up so they are against each other like this, okay? So you can see that these 2 sides are against each other like that. And then you can fold them over slightly so they don't sort of move. And I'm going to grab my sellotape and then just simply put a bit of sellotape on there to secure it. Okay, then we're going to get our next sheet and then do exactly the same. So fold it at an angle like this so you can see the 4 peaks. We're going to do a deep crease into the cellophane here. Then we're going to cut a unit out of the middle like so. Then we're going to do a 3rd turn on this. Okay, so we've got our cellophane at the back here of this. We're going to want to put it on its side basically like that, and then we're going to put it where we did the first time. So the binding point is on the top of our rectangle here, and we just leave it there, make sure it's nice and secure, and then again we just pull these 2 flaps up, and then you can just fold it slightly so it stays in place. Then we're going to get a piece of sellotape and just pop it on there to secure. So that's going to stay nicely on there. So it's looking like this so far. Okay, then we're going to do exactly the same for the next one as well. Okay, so just cut the centre out. Then I'm going to put it on the other side. Okay, so we've got cellophane here, we've got cellophane here, but we don't have any cellophane at this part here. So we're going to flip it onto the other side, so the opposite way of what we just did. And we're just going to simply put it on again and do exactly the same. Pull the 2 sides up and then fold it a little bit so it's secure and add sellotape to it. Okay, now your bouquet is wrapped like this. Okay, so we haven't fully secured this yet, and there is a reason for this, because sometimes when you are wrapping your bouquets, like flowers move around and it loses its form a little bit, as well as the cellophane. So as soon as we've done that, we can just put a base around it. So make sure the centre of the bouquet is at the back and on the first piece of cellophane that we put on there, so it's sort of nice and straight and like in a nice sort of moving technique as well. So here we go. And then basically what I do, you can use raffia to then tie it around the binding point again, but I'm just going to use some sellotape and just go around the binding point with the sellotape because it secures it just as well. Sorry, you can see the gardener. There we go. So then our bouquet is nicely wrapped. And I do fully recommend this wrapping technique on a daily basis, in my opinion anyway. That's the technique that I use the most. It's the most practical. There's 3 pieces of cellophane and there's enough to cover the whole thing, whether it's small, medium or large. So I do highly recommend that technique. Okay, so the next one is a little bit more simpler, and I used to do this in a floristry shop that I used to work in like years ago. So I haven't actually done this in a long time, but it's quite an easy sort of technique to do if you are beginning. So I'm using Korean wrap here, but you can just use your cellophane roll and cut squares out. But this is just going to be easy for me to do and show you, and it'll be quicker. So basically what you have to do is fold your square into a triangle like this. Make a deep crease so it stays nice like that. Then I'm going to do the same again to make it into a smaller triangle, and then you fold it on itself again to make an even smaller triangle. Okay, like that. And all you have to do is just simply cut this bit off, so this bit here, just cut that off there, and then do exactly the same with the next one. So I've got my 2 here, and then basically all we have to do is open it up like so, and then you put that one down there and then this one on top of this one at an angle like this, so you can see all the peaks here. Okay, then we just simply get our bouquet, squish it at the bottom like this, and we put our stems through the circle we've created here. Okay, Then we just flip our bouquet upside down. And then we grab it at the binding point here. Oh yeah, I like it. We'll do exactly the same as we did last time. So we'll grab our sellotape and then just put the sellotape around where the binding point is to just secure it nicely. And then our wrapping and our flowers will stay in place there. So I'm just going all the way around. Again, you can use like raffia or string or ribbon to do this. Okay, so here is a better angle for you to see it. The only thing that I don't like about doing this technique is it is a lot of titivating at the end to make sure all the peaks are even and nice. And it does look a bit too much like a star. Like, it does look very like sort of star shaped, doesn't it? Whereas I don't like it to look too structured, if you get my vibe. So yeah, it is a nice way to do it if you want it all neat, you want the peaks all nice. But yeah, it's not my favourite, but still really good. I think I will put this type of wrapping into my everyday bouquets, but it's given me a lot of nostalgia because I have not done this technique in 7 years. And I'm just like, what the hell? Brought back like so many memories, like I thought I was working back at that floristry shop again. But yeah, what do you think about this one? So this technique we're going to do now is the first technique I ever learned as a beginner florist. So some people say that this is the easiest technique, but I don't think it is, because I think that it has a lot more titivating work and editing at the end of it than the previous one we just did. But anyway, I'll show you what we're doing. So again, just like the first one we did, we're going to cut rectangles out. Now for this as well, this is actually a good technique to use if you're doing different size bouquets, because you do the rectangle smaller for a smaller bouquet, you do it sort of a little bit bigger for a medium, and then you can do it way bigger for a large. So 2 pieces will fit all basically, and it depends on the size of how you cut in your rectangles. So anyway, I'm going to do sort of medium ones. So I'm just going to need 2. So again, these are going to be the same size as what we did for the first one. Just going to put that away. And then all we simply do is fold our sheet upwards. Let me just take that one away so you can see more clearly. Fold our sheet upwards, but you know in the first one I said just do it at a smaller angle. This one really needs bigger peaks because they're going to be covering a larger size of the bouquet. Okay, so the peaks sort of have to be like that. Just make sure that they're nice and equal as well. Okay, then you do a deep crease like we do on all of them. And then we do that again with the other one. Now you can cut the middles out of these as well, but that's not how I was taught, and you can just leave it blank. So just to differentiate from the first one, I'm going to leave it like this. So what I did is you put the back of the bouquet onto the cellophane, again the binding point touching the bottom of the crease here. Okay, and then we just lift both of the ends up like so. With these ones, you overlap them like this. You overlap this bit onto that one, just slightly. Okay, then you put a piece of sellotape at the bottom and a piece of sellotape at the top. Then you just flip the bouquet the other way around and do exactly the same. So just lift the 2 sides, overlap them ever so slightly. Put one at the top and then one at the bottom, and then that is how I was taught as a florist to wrap a bouquet. Now shall we have a look what it looked like? Okay, so how basic bitch is that? But it's good to sort of train yourself with different sort of techniques anyway. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so this technique is still really, really nice, and it's good if you've got loads of bouquets and you just need to wrap them and get them out. but I would take more care in the wrapping. I always think the wrapping is as important as the flowers as well, because it shows quality really. Because say if you were going to buy a Chanel necklace and they basically just wrapped it in a piece of tissue paper, it doesn't give value, does it? So they use like their nice designer boxes and things like that. Like that's how I see it as wrapping and packing a bouquet. So this, it still does the job. It's still nice. Like anybody would be happy with it. I just think that we should learn to go that extra bit more to serve more value within our bouquets. But this is still absolutely fine. If you like it, if it's your favourite, then go for it. But with the titivating as well, like my eyes, it just looks like there's gaps here. This one's going down there and that one's going up there. So what I do is I have to go round, just overlap them like that. And then put a bit of sellotape there so it stays nice and held. And then go to the other side as well. And then just put a bit of sellotape there so it sort of stays. And then that's just how it's going to look. I don't think it really gives like nice equal peaks. Like it doesn't really give that much of a good shape. So this is definitely not my favourite one, but really, really practical, especially if you've got lots of orders going out. So yeah. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you my ultimate favourite wrapping. I've actually only been doing this wrapping for like a couple of months, and I did post a video a couple of months ago when I actually tried and tested it, and I was just like, I'm going to make a video on this, and then I never actually got round to it. So I'm going to let you into my secret wrapping technique. Well, it's not actually secret, but but anyway, let's just get into it. It's the most complex wrapping that you can possibly do. But my God, it makes the bouquets look so nice, adds so much value, looks such good quality, and it is just amazing. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is going to be the most complex technique that we're going to be doing today, and this is my favourite to make the bouquets look as wow as possible. Now, I am using Korean wrap with this, and I do recommend doing this technique with this wrap because it's much easier and less time consuming, and you'll see as we go along why. You can actually use your everyday cellophane that you can get from your wholesalers, but I do love a bit of Korean wrap. So anyway, I can either get these from my wholesalers as well. They're way more expensive than your roll of normal cellophane, but you can also get them from like Temu and Alibaba or Amazon. So they're really, really easy to get your hands on. Just make sure that you're getting them at the cheapest price you can possibly get, because you're getting the same thing. So it's just smart budgeting, isn't it, really? Now, this is why using Korean wrap is really, really good, because you can use it in every single size of bouquet that you want. You just add more sheets into it, if you get what I mean. So anyway, I'm going to show you what we do. So I'm just going to move that around so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So again, so this is a square, not a rectangle, so you have to start with a square. So if you are going to do this with normal cellophane, then you are going to have to make a square out of this. Okay. So basically what we want to do, we want to get the right side of our bottom piece of paper and then put it to the right side of the top, like this. So it creates peaks, just like our first and second video. Okay, so not really big peaks, just peaks like this. And once you're happy with that, just make a deep fold and then just flip it over again to the left. Okay, and then make sure all your 4 peaks are absolutely equal. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, just make a couple of deep folds again so they don't move. Then you're just going to flip it over like this. Now, if you wanted to, you can actually just put a piece of sellotape here and you can use these and they will give you the perfect peaks. But for this design, I like it to look a lot more fluffier and coming off the bouquet instead of lying flat onto the bouquet. It makes it look more luxurious. It makes the cellophane look more luxurious and thicker, and just gives it a more of a fluffy effect. Okay, so this is the tricky part here. So if you can see this bit here, you will see that you've got a flap. you have to just basically get this flat and then fold it to look like an ice cream sort of cone like this. Okay, do make sure that your peaks are going slightly to the left, because if it's centre, I don't like it. I find it easier to do it sort of at an angle to the left. I find that the fluffiness is like more fluffy. I don't know why. I think it's just like the angle that my hands are going. I don't know, but I always do it. So just slightly to the left. Okay, so we've got our ice cream cone sort of shape here, and do make sure it's like sort of fluffing out and not flat onto the surface. Okay, so we then want to do this for the rest of them. So I'm just going to fold it again, just like we did the first one, like so. And then you can just leave it like that and do the next one, but I always find it easier to like sort of sellotape these flaps down here. So I'm going to put a piece of sellotape, sort of try and get it to the bottom as much as possible, because you really want it sort of coming out at the top. You don't want to sort of lie it flat. Okay, so those are done now. You can just add another piece of sellotape here as well, so it keeps it secure. Then we've got this section here, and we're just going to do exactly the same. Okay, so make that ice cream cone sort of shape. Make sure your peaks aren't going like misshaped. Keep your eye on the peaks, making sure they're the same size and same level at all time. Okay, and don't fold it too much, otherwise you're going to get like a sort of half a peak like that. So you just grab it more to the end a little bit, like grab some more of the sellotape from the bottom, so then you can sort of use more of what you're playing with. Okay, so then I'm just going to sellotape that down there so it stays secure, and then do exactly the same again here, and you can bring that one a bit further over like this. Just make sure everything's staying in place, and then just put a bit of sellotape on there as well to keep it nice and secure. Okay, keep your eye on the peaks, making sure they're perfect at all times. Okay, so that's not really going to move. And then our end one, we just need to basically just fold it in on itself, like so. So they're all nice and even, so that bit's not sticking out there. We just need to pull it towards itself, and then add another piece of sellotape, okay? And then your peaks are going to look like this, really nice and fluffy, and they'll sit nice and fluffy around the bouquet as well. So that's nice and secure now. I'm going to make 3 more of these and then wrap it around the bouquet. Those fluffy peaks are fluffy peaking. So just remember, they've just got to sort of look like ice cream cones. They've got to be sort of 3D and fluffy and not flat. Okay, there's a lot of sellotape involved, but it's so worth it. And then once you get the hang of it, it doesn't take as long as the first time that you've done it, trust me. And then it's all worth it in the end. So anyway, let's wrap our bouquet. Are you ready? So I'm going to take our first one, and all we need to do really is, it's probably better if you hold your bouquet upside down, to be honest. So we're going to hold the bouquet upside down, and then we're going to put our cellophane upside down as well. And then we're going to put the bottom of our triangle at the end of our cellophane onto the binding point like this, and have a look whether it sits nicely onto the bouquet. So I'm just going to flip it round the other way, make sure I'm getting the height right on it, because I don't want it to be too long, I don't want it to be too short coming from the bouquet. Okay? So once I'm happy with where my peaks are, I'm then going to hold it at the binding point and then repeat the process again. When you're doing it, the peaks can sort of hide behind each other, so do make sure you're sort of titivating it and pulling it away from each other as you're doing it, so you can see those 4 beautiful peaks. Okay, then we don't necessarily have to hold our bouquet upside down now. We can just put it at the binding point, line it up to the other one, and then grab it again like this. And once you grab it, it's not going to move, and it's really good. Okay, then you can just sort of titubate that around as well. So that's how it's looking so far, and it makes it look like it's got loads of layers of cellophane on it, but it really hasn't. We've literally only got 2 pieces, and how extra does it make it look? Okay, then I'm just going to add the other 2 into it as well. So line it up again, hold at the binding point, titubate it so it's all at the right size. Make sure you're nice and happy with it. Oh yes, it's looking stern. And then just our last one as well, I'm going to put that at the front, so where there's a gap, and make sure they're all meeting as well. So all the sheets are meeting together, and all the peaks go from one by one by one. So there's titubating here, but how stunning is this looking already? Okay, now once that's done, oh my god, look at the movement in that wrapping. Like the one that we did before is like so basic compared to this. Like, what bouquet would you rather receive? This is why I'm saying it's really important to understand your wrapping techniques. So anyway, I'm just going to make sure that I'm really happy with how all the peaks are looking, and there's not jumbled up, or there's not any jumbled up or anything. So do make sure you titubate as you go around. And then what I'm going to do is just grab my sellotape and then secure all the way around the binding point of where the cellophane ends with my sellotape, just like we did in the other 3. Make sure it's nice and secure. If you do get a gap like this, it's absolutely fine, because I like to put a layer at the top as well. This one will probably be easier if you put like raffia around it or string. Okay, so I'm just going to put a few bits of sellotape on there so I know it's nice and secure. Then I'm going to look back at it, and then I'm going to connect all these bits with sellotape. Okay, so I'm just going to put them on top of each other, making sure they're perfectly on top of each other, and then just secure it with sellotape around it. Okay. And then just the last one as well, just check if that's okay. And then sellotape it again. And then that's what it's looking like at a bird's eye view. Oh yeah. Now let's have a look at it in a different perspective. I'm sorry, but I think we can all agree that if we were going to have this bouquet, we prefer this wrapping. This is literally the go-to wrapping. Like, I am sad that I didn't know how to do this wrapping for the longest time. And this is my absolutely favourite wrapping type that you can do. It's fluffy, adds value. Look at all the peaks, they're all even. There's so many of them. There's so much going on. It makes the bouquet wrapping look thicker. It's not fully just flat onto the bouquet, so it adds more value because it looks bigger. And I just can't sing my praises enough about this wrapping. Honestly, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's like flipping royalty. Look at that. I hope this video was super duper informative, and if it was, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as it helps this channel grow and I can create more videos just like this one. And we hope to see you in the next one.